If you feel like quitting, you have these days that it's not always easy, and you're like, why should I even continue? Like, there's no point. You need to hear this. There's a story. Actually two stories that I'm going to share with you today. One is a legend, and that was told by my godfather for the first time. And there's a story about a little hummingbird that was in a forest, and there was a huge forest fire, and the hummingbird wanted to extinguish the fire. And so at one point, like the little hummingbird just decided to go to a stream and just pick up one little single drop of water, and then just went over the fire and just dropped it. And there's an animal, a fox, that noticed this. He's like, well, what are you doing? Like, what's the point of doing all this? Like, you're just dropping one single drop in the whole fire. Do you think you're going to put out the fire with this? And then the hummingbird just said, well, I'm doing my part. And that inspired all the other animals to do their own part. And then this is how the fire was extinguished. So that's a story. That's a fable. That's a legend. And there's a real story. And that's what I wanted to tell you, because I told the story to a friend this morning, and that inspired her. That inspired me back. Didn't even expect to say it. I don't know if you ever heard of the movie called The Shack. And it's a great movie. It's also based on a book called The Shack, and the author is Paul Young. I had the chance to talk to Paul Young actually one time, and it's the story of Paul. His didn't go well. Like he was in trouble, financial trouble. He had 5 kids to take care of, and his wife was not so happy about him either. There was something that happened before that, but the point is that now it's coming close to Christmas, and he doesn't even know what he's going to give to his kids. Like, imagine you have 5 kids, you have no job, and you're trying to do something good for your own kids. And so his wife said, well, I think you should definitely write something to them. You should write the story of everything you've learned and share it to them. And so he decided to write. Even though, imagine, you feel like you want to give up, but now you decide to do something for somebody else. What happened during that time too is that there was another man that was at a video store during that time. And he was at the video store, and it was around Christmas time, and he said, hey, do you know anyone that would need my help? I'm thinking about dropping $100 and to a family that would need it. He's like, oh, I know the family. You should definitely go to this family. I think that's gonna do well for them. So this man decided to put $100 in an envelope and just slip it right under the door. And so, years later, but what happened is that the person who received that $100 was Paul Young. And you know what happened with that? Is that thanks to this $100, and you can say, this is just a drop. This $100 was enough to print 15 copies, 0 copy, like a photocopier. That was it. Like 15 copies that Paul decided to give to his family, to his friends. And the story was so good that people started to share. And they started to share the story everywhere. And guess how many millions of copies have been sold? 25 million copies of this book was sold thanks to one stranger that decided to give $100. And that gets even better. The story gets better because years after, Paul decided that he wanted to do a movie about that. And so he decided to make some phone calls to some filmmakers, and he said, do you know someone that would be interested to do the movie of this book? He's like, well, I would love to do it, but I can't. I'm too busy for it. But I know somebody else that you should probably talk to. And so Paul makes that phone call, talks to this person, and then same thing. He's like, I'm busy. I'll take the job, but it's not going to be me. I'm going to give it to somebody else. He's very good. You will like it. And so then he has a little appointment with the man, and the man starts to arrive at Paul's house. And as soon as he arrived at Paul's house, hold on a minute. This is the house that I gave the $100. So he talks to Paul. He's like, Paul, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah. Have you ever received $100 around Christmas time under the door? He's like, yeah. So, well, that was me. So can you believe how powerful your impact you can make by sometimes not giving up? and also doing something that looks like so meaningless, and then all of a sudden you're creating a huge impact. There's so much. If you feel like, I felt like I didn't even want to do this video today, but I decided, and this is a top coaching tip or whatever. My advice to you is that we have choices to make. We have a choice to either listen to that little inner voice that's usually the ego, that wants to stay small, that wants to stay hidden, or say, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. And that's the trick. That's the opponent's trick, to trick you into not doing it, because it doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And so you have two choices. It's either you choose to let that voice win, or you choose your own voice and to own your own life. And that's what I decided to do. This is hard. This is not easy. This is pretty much kind of saying breaking the habit of being yourself. There's a full book just based on that, Joe Dispenza. So we are so addicted to our own familiar feelings that when we say, oh, I don't feel like it, it's not that we don't feel like it from the heart perspective. It's just because, our body is used to a chemical of maybe, tomorrow I'll do it another time. And so then because we're addicted, we just basically succumb to that, and we don't do what we know we should do. And that's pretty much almost the same story as this hummingbird, you can say, like with devotion and a big mission, says, you know what? I know I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do my own part. And even if my video is only seen by one person and that's it, it's a little bit about what I said last week. Use your voice. Even if I make the difference to only one person, well, I won against my own programming that said, who cares? Like, you're not going to make a big change with this story. For what? Like, you don't even feel like it. And then you hear that voice, but we have a choice. And that's how we can change. Because here's the thing. If you want to change something in your life, without changing you, nothing's going to change. And it took me years to understand that. Because, we always try to say, well, what if, I put a little bit of, lipstick and whatever, figuratively speaking, right? I'm just going to change a little bit, but without changing. And then things will change just because, I have the intention of changing. No, like it's an intention, and it's really persistence at time, even if you don't see the results, even if it seems like it's meaningless. So I hope it inspires you, because, you can even give today money or your affection or a smile, or decide to do one more rep for your business, for whatever you need to do. And that rep could be the rep that has such a big old ripple effect, like the man that gave $100 and now we have 25 million copies sold of a book that was without marketing effort, really. I think it was barely $30,000 or so. It was just word of mouth. And thanks to Paul, that in the time that it was difficult, decided to write, despite the fact that he could say, why, what's the point? Like, I don't even have a job. I don't support my kids. But he decided to keep on going, and he didn't stop. And thanks to that, now we have a beautiful story to tell that changed people's lives forever by the millions. And then there's a movie that was made by the million, and with million of views, with a huge impact, thanks to the fact that these people didn't stop. They didn't let their paradigm, they didn't let their own limitations stop them. They decided to do whatever it takes, or to just do their own part. So I invite you to do the same for you and for the people and maybe generations to come. So if you like this video, like it, share it, subscribe if you see it on YouTube, and enjoy. Never stop.